Thanks again to this week's guest star, Cody. We touched on some of the wild performances in week one. Of course, that meant we were bound to see some wild, outlandish fab spending to overcorrect. I think we did. But that's just one of the items I want to address today in this week two preview. First order of business, though, of course, is the side mission. We got to talk about that one. Last week we had the Bilitnikov, however that crazy commie bastard pronounces his name. I don't know. But it was the wide receiver one award. Naturally, it was eighth round pick Jaden Reed of Team Dylon that won that one. And of course, Dylon is the league leader in points scored, trouncing Carl after week one. Boy, doesn't even have any injuries on his team. Things may or may not be looking up for Team Dylon. That's fun. How about them apples? I don't know. What do we say about that? Anyway, let's talk about side mission number two. I'm going to spin it. Favorite part. Okay, my favorite part. Who do we got? What the hell? The highest scoring flex spots. We're going to combine IDP and offensive flex. So that's what four players to win the Fleshful Healing Award. I like it. That'll be a good one. Let me go through and update our sheet. So of course I've got Dylan with Jaden Reed first week there. Week two, Flexual Healing O plus D. Beautiful. It's official. It's on the books. All right. We got to talk about some of these free agent moves. All right. Look, there were injuries. There were some severely underwhelming performances to overreact to. And of course, like we've talked about all off season, you got to churn the bottom of the roster, right? So let me first off, full disclosure, what was my free agent plan? And I'll tell you, this is straight up. So Puka out for 4 weeks, RIP bro. I prioritized Tyler Johnson because I think he's going to fill in that Puka Nacua role. Kind of a coin flip whether it was going to be Demarcus Robinson or Tyler Johnson. I think Robinson keeps that kind of downfield X receiver role. I think Tyler Johnson makes more sense as kind of that slot middle of the field guy. Obviously, Coop is still going to get 20 targets a game, so maybe it's a moot point regardless. But that's the route that I went. I didn't want to spend a lot. I first put in an offer of $8. Then I got a little bit nervous. I upped it to $9. I was feeling frisky. Next, I wanted to take a shot at Jeff Wilson. I knew that was probably going to be a long shot, but with Raheem Mostert out, potential for Achane to be out, I figured, what the hell? Of course, it's only going to be like a 2-week fill-in at best, so I put down $3 whole. Lastly, my starting linebacker popped up on the injury report with a did not practice on Wednesday. I figured I better take a shot at another linebacker. I went with Mac Wilson of the Cardinals. They're playing the Rams. I thought that's a good matchup. Rams, of course, with injured tackles and a bad offensive line, are going to have a lot of quick first read passes. Hopefully going to run the ball a little bit more. That feels like a recipe for some good linebacker numbers. So I went with Mac Wilson. I didn't make an offer. I just figured, you know what, if I don't get him, I'll go back to the well. There's a lot of good IDP flex options out there. So that's where I was at with it. I figured for the top bid earners, we'd see Isaiah Likely, Zach Bond. I figured Baker Mayfield would probably get some money thrown at him. There were a couple, we lost Jordan Love. There were a couple of underwhelming quarterback performances. Baker Mayfield's been pretty hot. Going back to like week 8 or week 9 of last year, he's finished as like the QB 4 or 5. So Baker might be legit now that he's in Tampa Bay. So it did not play out that way. A lot of these guys I felt were trap players. Leading off the lineup, Jeff Wilson, $40 offer. Ryan, I got to say, that is S-tier strategy to spend $40 on Jeff Wilson and leave him on your bench. No notes. No notes. Great work. $30 for Likely. I mean, it felt steep, but I do get it. The usage was undeniable. The results were undeniable. I just wonder if going forward now, maybe we start to see more of a rotation. Defenses are going to try and compensate for Likely. So maybe we see Andrews blow up, and then we see Zay Flowers blow up, and then rinse and repeat, and it kind of goes around and around. But yes, totally understandable. I understand the $30 bid there. $15 for Zach Bond was a good one. Again, he doesn't have like the draft capital that Nakobe Dean had. That being said, the Eagles went out, signed him. He reportedly outperformed all their other linebackers all offseason. The results speak for themselves. So in that defense with the secondary around them, I could easily see Zach Bond finishing as like a top 20, maybe even a top 15 linebacker if he stays healthy and holds on to that job. So yeah, that's legit. Go with that. Same with Greg Rousseau, another $15 bid there. Rousseau's interesting. He's got prototypical size. He's just kind of been third banana in a rotation that has had guys like Leonard Floyd and Von Miller for the last couple of years. Floyd's gone. Von Miller's obviously older, so in steps Greg Rousseau, and the first couple of weeks, I think the results speak for themselves. So $15 is probably a pretty solid play there. Yeah, we did see a couple of traps go, though, like $8 for Alan Lazard. Probably not buying Alan Lazard for the rest of the year. I think that was kind of a flash in the pan. Big money went to Madison, right? What did Madison end up going for? I thought there were double digits dollars spent there. Probably not the wisest to spend. Raiders offense looks pretty bad. I'll probably end up cutting Zamir White if things don't go well here in the next week or two. So, yeah, we'll see. But it's week 1. You got to overreact. That's half the fun. So we'll see how it plays out longer term. But I think overall there were some good moves, some funny moves, but good moves more than any. Excellent. Let's see. I wanted to finish up with another matchup preview. I tried to do this video before, and you know what? I just rambled like an idiot during the matchup preview. So in an effort to be more concise, here's what I did. I took a screenshot, and I'm going to try and follow what I did here rather than ramble as I think about the matchup. So this is Big Mike versus Brent. Big Mike had a rough week 1, lowest scoring team, took the L. Brent had a really good outing against me. I think he put up like 180. Wasn't bad at all. So how do things shape up? Can Big Mike get back on track? Let's see. So we got Justin Herbert versus Purdy. Herbert taking on the Panthers, who looked just awful, suffered another injury on defense. I think Herbert can outscore Purdy pretty easily. Looks like the 49ers probably want to play that ball control offense. I anticipate a lot of Jordan Mason and or Christian McCaffrey. So easy win for Herbert. Javonte Williams versus Saquon. Not much question there. The Denver offense looks like trash. So we're going to go with Saquon. Tajay versus Aaron Jones. That split with Tajay and Pollard makes me a little bit nervous. I think Aaron Jones has at least the 70% of the carries out of the Minnesota backfield. So I think that's pretty easy to go Aaron Jones there. Garrett Wilson versus Jamar Chase was a little bit tougher. I went with Chase. I see a shootout with Bengals versus KC. it's not even a question of whether or not Wilson's better than Chase, because honestly, I think he might be. But Tennessee secondary is pretty tough. So I went with Chase here. Worthy versus Flowers. Again, following that whole shootout trend, I see Worthy being involved, being that kind of Tyreek-esque playmaker. They've already found ways to get him involved in the running game. He had a deep touchdown. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Andrews versus Kittle. I'm going Andrews on this one. Kind of like I hinted at when we talked about Likely. I have to think defenses are maybe going to compensate a little bit and roll some more coverage to Likely. So maybe that opens up things for Mark Andrews to get a bit more involved. Kittle just doesn't really do much for me. And I think the Vikings defensive line is going to keep some pressure on Purdy. So there you go. Harrison versus Rice. I did have to think on this one for a while. I really think the Cardinals are going to make getting Harrison more involved a focal point. I think I even read a report that he was kind of like verbally pissed off after the game that he only got like 3 targets. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Harrison have, 3 or 4 catches for 80, 90 yards and a touchdown. But I think Rice is going to be a little bit more consistent in his opportunities. So I see Rice winning that matchup. JSN versus Chase Brown. If it's going to be a blow-up, a shootout in KC, then I don't think it bodes well for Chase Brown. So I'll just go JSN on that one. Roquan versus DeMario. Gotta like Roquan. He's like LB1 the last 3 or 4 years, so stick with that. Ernie, my man Ernie versus Anzalone. Pretty easily going Alex Anzalone there. He's still locked into that LB1 role. I think he played 100% of the snaps last week. Ernest moved into the LB2 slot in Tennessee, but Kenneth Murray still is the number 1 dog there, so he's got some work to do yet. Bosa versus Myles Garrett. Now, Garrett did pop up on the injury report. Sounds like it's just a minor foot thing. I'm choosing to believe that Myles Garrett will try and pull the dead weight that is the quarterback, Deshaun Watson, and get this defense more involved. So, yeah, I think the Browns D probably has a chip on their shoulder. Harold Landry versus Micah Parsons. This was the beauty of Brent taking 2 premier pass rushers. This is where you're going to pull away if everything goes to plan. So Garrett and Parsons both could blow up and have 20-plus point weeks. Parsons over Landry for sure. Derwin James versus Kyle Hamilton. This was a little bit tougher for me. If Carolina really falls behind again, could we see the Chargers give some guys rest? I think that's likely. Kyle Hamilton, the Las Vegas team isn't very good either, but I just think Kyle Hamilton a little bit younger, a little bit more upside more than anything. Both guys are incredibly good, so just roll the dice and see if Kyle Hamilton has a blow-up game in him. Duggar versus CD Deuce. I didn't see what Duggar's injury report is, but man, that New England defense looked pretty good. I'd expect them to keep that momentum going against Seattle, so I went with Duggar there. Buddha versus Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, I'll take Buddha over the D end. Don't imagine that they're going to have a very good game trying to get to Patrick Mahomes, so there's that one. And then Simpson versus Hitman Harry. Give me Simpson. I think that Ravens defense, again, probably going to show up pretty effective against the Raiders. So there you have it. I think the ESPN projection probably in line with what I'm seeing. I've got Brent over Big Mike. Maybe a little bit closer than that 14-point blow-up that ESPN has projected. But, yeah, Brent probably walks away with this one. Big Mike falls to 0-2. Brent goes to 1-1. We did look at Cody and Brian's matchup. Again, Cody issuing side bet challenges to Brian. Where you at, B-Money? Let's see it. But that's it. We already had a Thursday night game. Weekend is coming. Lots of football, lots of fun. Awesome. We'll catch everybody a little bit later. Thank you.